Atop the glass tower, New York's lights reflected like knife blades. Sam Walker, former Marine, now mercenary feeding his little girl, stepped into his final mission, believing this would be the last time he'd holster a weapon. But when the first bullets shattered the glass, everything collapsed. Beside him stood not an ally, but Mona Carter, a billionaire CEO, who seemed to belong to another world entirely. Between gunfire and betrayal, a single father and a cold executive were forced to hold hands to survive and to love. Sam Walker had never imagined his life would come to this. At 36, widowed for 3 years, he lived in a cramped Brooklyn apartment with peeling wallpaper and a kitchen that always smelled faintly of yesterday's coffee. But none of that mattered when Lily was there. His 7-year-old daughter, with her mother's auburn hair and his stubborn chin, was the only light in his darkness. Every morning, she'd climb onto his lap while he tied her school shoes, humming the same tune her mother used to sing. Sam had been a decorated Marine once, part of an elite reconnaissance unit that operated in shadows most Americans never knew existed. But one mission in Afghanistan changed everything. Bad intelligence led his team to strike what they thought was an insurgent safe house. It was a wedding. 17 civilians died that night, including children Lily's age. The official report cleared him of wrongdoing, but Sam's conscience offered no such absolution. He left the Corps within 6 months, unable to look at his uniform without seeing their faces. Now he took contracts. The kind, decent men didn't talk about at dinner tables. Security work, they called it, though everyone knew what that meant. The money was good, better than anything his veterans' benefits could provide, and Lily needed things. School supplies, new clothes every few months as she grew like a weed. And the medical bills, God. The medical bills from when she'd had pneumonia last winter. The insurance barely covered half. Tonight's job was supposed to be the last one. Tamara Cole, his handler for the past 2 years, had promised him that. One more contract, she'd said, and he could walk away with enough to start fresh. Maybe open that auto shop he'd been dreaming about. Something honest where Lily could do homework in the back office after school. Mona Carter stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her penthouse, watching the city breathe 47 floors below. At 32, she commanded a defense technology empire worth $8 billion, built from the startup she'd coded in her MIT dorm room. The business press called her the Ice Queen of Silicon Valley, though she'd long since relocated to New York. They photographed her at galas in designer gowns, always alone, always with that practiced smile that never reached her eyes. Men wanted her money, or her body, or her influence. Usually all three. But none had ever wanted just her. The penthouse reflected her life perfectly. Everything was glass and chrome and sharp edges, beautiful but cold to the touch. The furniture cost more than most people's homes, but she'd never curled up on any of it with someone she loved, had never shared morning coffee while watching the sunrise paint Manhattan gold. Her father had been the only person who truly understood her, and even he had worried about what he called her fortress mentality. Before the cancer took him 5 years ago, he'd made her promise to let people in. She'd failed him in that. Just as Tamara constantly reminded her, Tamara Cole had been her father's security advisor, one of his oldest friends, someone who'd watched Mona grow from a shy programmer into a corporate titan. These days, Tamara managed special contracts for various clients, using connections from her intelligence days. She'd insisted on this meeting tonight, something about a vulnerability assessment that couldn't wait. "You're becoming paranoid, Mona," Tamara had said last week, watching as Mona reviewed the latest security upgrades. All these precautions, the panic room, the emergency repelling equipment on the maintenance balcony. "You're preparing for doomsday scenarios that will never happen. Better paranoid than dead," Mona had replied, not knowing how prophetic those words would prove. Tonight was supposed to be a routine meeting. Some security consultant Tamara had insisted she meet, someone who could provide an independent assessment. Mona had agreed only out of respect for their history. She'd changed from her boardroom armor into something softer, a black cashmere sweater and dark jeans, though she couldn't say why. Perhaps she was tired of always being the CEO, always being untouchable. The elevator chimed softly, and she turned from the window, composing her features into that familiar mask of professional distance. Sam felt out of place the moment he stepped into the penthouse. His boots, practical and worn, seemed to apologize with every step across the Italian marble. The space was enormous. probably bigger than his entire apartment building. And everything gleamed with the kind of wealth that made him uncomfortable. He'd been in luxury before, protecting Saudi princes and Russian oligarchs, but this was different. This was American excess, the kind his daughter saw in movies and thought was make-believe. His jacket, a brown leather thing he'd bought at an army surplus store, felt shabby against his shoulders. He'd promised Lily he'd be home by 9 to read her a bedtime story. She was staying with Mrs. Chen next door, probably already in her pajamas, the ones with the cartoon unicorns that were getting too small, but she refused to give up. Then he saw her. Mona Carter wasn't what he'd expected. The photos in business magazines didn't capture the way she moved, fluid and purposeful, like a dancer who'd learned to fight. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and without the corporate armor, she looked younger, almost vulnerable. But her eyes, green with flecks of gold, held an intelligence that seemed to catalog everything about him in a single glance. His calloused hands, the slight favor of his left leg from shrapnel he'd never had properly removed, the way his right hand stayed loose at his side, ready to reach for the weapon concealed beneath his jacket. "Mr. Walker," she said, and her voice wasn't the crisp, commanding tone he'd expected. It was softer, tinged with something that might have been exhaustion. Tamara said, "You had information about my company's security." Sam nodded, his throat suddenly dry. "Ma'am, I was told you needed an assessment of your personal protection protocols." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Personal protection? I have a dozen bodyguards, Mr. Walker. What I need is someone to tell me why 3 of my board members have received death threats this week, and why someone tried to hack our quantum encryption prototype yesterday." "Your bodyguards are for show," Sam said bluntly, his professional eye already cataloging weaknesses. "The way they're positioned, the patterns they follow. Anyone with real training could slip through. And this place, all this glass." He gestured at the windows. "You're a sitting duck from any building within 800 meters. Her eyes sharpened. "You're different from Tamara's usual consultants. They tell me everything is fine, bill me for their time, and leave. I've seen what happens when people think everything is fine," Sam replied. And for a moment, Afghanistan flickered behind his eyes. The wedding tent. The laughter turning to screams, his finger on the trigger as, "Are you all right?" Mona's voice pulled him back. "Fine. Sorry. Just, your security has gaps. Big ones." She studied him for a long moment, and Sam had the unsettling feeling she could see straight through him, past the soldier facade to the father who sang off-key lullabies and checked under beds for monsters. "You have a child," she said suddenly. It wasn't a question. Sam's hand instinctively moved toward his wallet where Lily's picture lived. "How did you?" "The way you checked the room when you entered. Not just for threats to yourself, but escape routes for someone smaller. And there's glitter on your jacket cuff. The really fine kind they use in elementary school art projects." Despite himself, Sam smiled. "Her name's Lily. She's 7. Lucky girl," Mona said. And there was something wistful in her voice. To have a father who'd do anything to come home to her. The conversation that followed was unlike any briefing Sam had ever given. Mona challenged every assumption, questioned every recommendation, her mind working 3 steps ahead of his. She moved as she talked, pacing the room with restless energy, occasionally stopping to adjust something on her desk where multiple monitors displayed streams of code and satellite imagery. "This is what they're after," she said suddenly, pulling up a schematic on the largest screen. "Project Prometheus, a defensive satellite network that can identify and neutralize incoming threats before they reach their targets. The DoD wants it. So do the Chinese, the Russians, and about 6 terrorist organizations. And you're the only one who has the key," Sam said, understanding dawning. "The encryption is biometrically locked to me. My retinal scan, my DNA, my neural patterns. Even if they stole the hardware, it's useless without me." She turned to face him. "Or if I'm dead, it becomes useless to everyone. That's a hell of a thing to carry around. Would you like a drink?" she asked suddenly, moving to an elaborate bar. "I have whiskey that costs more than most people's cars. But I've never actually tried it. Always seemed wasteful to drink alone." Before Sam could answer, she was already pouring 2 glasses. Her hands, he noticed, trembled slightly. "You're scared," he said softly. "Terrified," she admitted, handing him a glass. "I'm 32 years old. Worth billions. And I eat dinner alone every night in this glass cage. Wondering if tonight's the night someone decides I'm worth more dead than alive." Sam took a sip of the whiskey. It was smooth, probably worth more than he made in a week. "Why tell me this?" "Because you have kind eyes," she said simply. "And because Tamara trusts you, which means my father would have trusted you." She moved closer. Close enough that he could smell her perfume. Something subtle and expensive. "And because you look at me like I'm a person, not a payday or a trophy." The window behind Mona exploded. Glass erupted inward like deadly confetti, and Sam moved without thinking. 3 strides closed the distance between them, his body slamming into hers, as bullets carved lines of death through the space where she'd been standing. They hit the marble floor hard, Sam taking the impact on his shoulder to protect her, his body covering hers completely. He felt her heart hammering against his chest, rapid as automatic gunfire, her breath hot against his neck. For a moment, neither moved, processing the sudden transition from conversation to combat. "Stay down," Sam growled, his soldier's mind already calculating angles and distances. The shots had come from the building across the street, probably the 38th or 39th floor based on the trajectory. Professional setup, suppressed rifle, likely a 2-man team with a spotter. This wasn't random. This was an execution. Mona's hands gripped his jacket, her nails digging in even through the leather. But when she spoke, her voice was steady. "The panic room. Northwest corner. Biometric lock. But Sam, there's something else. My computer systems. They're all compromised. Someone's been in them for weeks." Sam risked a glance up. The shooters had stopped firing, probably repositioning or waiting for movement. He could see Mona's workspace, the monitors now showing cascading error messages and system failures. "You knew," he said, understanding hitting him. "That's why you're scared. You knew someone was coming." "I suspected. That's why I had Tamara bring you here. I thought if I had the right person, someone who actually cared about protecting people rather than just collecting a check." Another burst of gunfire cut her off, shattering the massive chandelier above them. Crystal rained down like frozen tears, and Sam pulled Mona tighter against him, shielding her with his body. In that moment, feeling her trembling beneath him, something shifted. This wasn't just another job, another principle to protect. This was Mona, brilliant and lonely Mona, who'd seen something in him worth trusting. "Can you run?" he asked. "In heels? Number barefoot?" "Try to keep up." She kicked off her designer shoes, and Sam helped her to a crouch. The panic room was 20 yards away across open ground. They'd be exposed for maybe 4 seconds. In combat, 4 seconds was a lifetime. "There's another way," Mona said suddenly. "Through my office. It connects to the panic room from the inside. Less exposure. Lead the way." They crawled behind a massive marble sculpture, bullets tracking their movement and sending chips flying. Mona pointed to a door disguised in the wall paneling. "There. But the hallway has windows. Then we make our own cover." Sam grabbed a heavy silver serving tray from a side table, testing its weight. "When I throw this, you run. Don't stop. Don't look back." "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you." He hurled the tray like a discus toward the windows. The shooters reacted instantly, bullets sparking off the metal. Sam and Mona sprinted for the door, Sam firing 3 suppressing shots toward the muzzle flashes across the street. They crashed through into a hallway lined with priceless art, Mona leading the way with surprising speed. Her office was smaller than the main room but just as vulnerable, one entire wall made of glass. They stayed low, Mona crawling to a panel beside her desk. "The security system should have triggered by now," she said, pressing her palm to a hidden scanner. Unless Tamara disabled it," Sam finished, the pieces clicking together. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but he recognized Tamara's style immediately. "You weren't supposed to be in the room, Sam. Walk away now, and you can still see your daughter grow up. Little Lily looks so peaceful in those unicorn pajamas, doesn't she?" The blood drained from Sam's face. Tamara knew about Lily's pajamas. She was watching his daughter. Right now. Oh God, Mona breathed, reading the message. Sam, I'm so sorry. I never thought she'd... She's using your technology, Sam said, his voice deadly calm though rage burned through his veins. The surveillance, the hacking. She's selling you out. The hidden door clicked open, revealing a reinforced panic room. They dove inside, just as more bullets shattered the office windows. Sam immediately went to the security monitors while Mona sealed the door. The building's internal systems are all down, Mona said, her fingers flying over a keyboard. But I have a separate, hardwired connection that Tamara doesn't know about. I really am paranoid. She pulled up multiple screens. I'm initiating my CEO emergency protocol. It sends a silent alarm directly to a specialized FBI unit. But Sam, it'll take them at least 15 minutes to get here. We don't have 15 minutes. Sam checked his weapon. 13 rounds left, 1 spare magazine. And I need to get to my daughter. I can see your building's security cameras, Mona said, typing furiously. There. Mrs. Chen's apartment. The screen showed the elderly woman's living room. Lily was asleep on the couch. Her stuffed elephant clutched tightly. A woman in a dark suit stood by the door, checking her watch. That's Tamara, Sam growled. I'm rerouting local patrol units, creating a priority response to your building. Mona's fingers never stopped moving. Estimated arrival. 3 minutes. But Sam, we're still trapped here. No, we're not. Sam moved to a storage locker in the corner, yanking it open. Inside was professional rappelling equipment, military grade. You really were paranoid. After my father died, I realized how vulnerable I was. I had escape routes installed from every room. She pulled out a tactical vest, handing it to Sam. This was excessive, everyone said. Guess I showed them. Sam strapped on the vest, his hands steady despite the adrenaline. In the monitors, he could see movement in the penthouse. Multiple figures in tactical gear sweeping through the rooms. They're jamming cell signals now, Mona said, her phone going dead. But the hardline is still active. I can wait. Her fingers paused over the keyboard. I have access to the building across the street. Their security system runs through my company's servers. A grim smile crossed her face. Let's see how they like being watched. New images filled the screens. The sniper team, 2 men with precision rifles. But there was a third figure, talking on a phone, gesturing angrily. Zoom in, Sam said. The image clarified. Tamara Cole, dressed in tactical gear, clearly running the operation. That bitch, Mona breathed. Then, louder, with real anger. That absolute bitch. My father trusted her. He brought her to my 8th birthday party. She taught me how to throw a punch when boys got too grabby in high school. And now she's selling you to the highest bidder. Sam secured the rope to an anchor point. We go out the maintenance access, rappel down 3 floors to the mechanical level. From there, the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in a second later, bathing everything in red. They cut the power, Mona said unnecessarily. The panic room is on backup. But that only lasts 2 hours. Then we leave now. Sam helped her into a harness, trying not to notice how perfectly she fit against him as he adjusted the straps. Ever done this before? I took a course. Once. In Aspen. It was a very controlled environment, with an instructor and safety nets. This won't be like that, I figured. She checked the computer one more time. Police are at your building. They're in Mrs. Chen's apartment. Sam, Lily's safe. They have Tamara's operative in custody. Relief flooded through him so powerfully his knees almost buckled. Thank God, but we're not safe yet. She pulled on tactical gloves, her movements precise despite her obvious fear. Those men out there, they're here to kill us both. Tamara needs me dead to sell my company's secrets, and you're a witness. Then we don't die. Sam checked the external cameras. The sniper team hadn't moved, still covering the main windows. They're watching the wrong angle. We go now. They went out the panic room's emergency exit onto a narrow maintenance balcony. The wind hit immediately. Fierce and cold, 44 floors up. Sam secured the rope, double-checking every connection. One failure, and they'd both paint the sidewalk. Mona pressed against him, her arms wrapping around his chest from behind, her body shaking, though he couldn't tell if it was from cold or fear. "If we die," she said, her lips close to his ear, "I want you to know something. In the last hour, you've made me feel more alive than I have in years." "We're not dying tonight," Sam replied. "I promised my daughter a bedtime story." They went over the edge. The rope sang through Sam's gloves as they descended, his boots finding purchase on the glass while his arms controlled their rate of fall. Mona held on with desperate strength, her face buried against his shoulder. The old shrapnel wound in his leg chose that moment to flare up, sending shooting pain through his thigh. His grip slipped for a terrifying second before he recovered. Mona's gasp sharp in his ear. "You're hurt," she said. "Old injury." "I'm fine." "Liar." Then the shooting started. Bullets sparked off the building's face, showering them with glass fragments. But something was off. The shots were coming from too high, the angle wrong. "They can't see us properly," Mona said, understanding immediately. "The maintenance balcony is blocking their view. They're firing blind." They crashed through the 41st floor window in an explosion of glass and tangled limbs. But the window was reinforced, and Sam's first kick only cracked it. His leg screamed in protest as he kicked again, Mona adding her strength to his. The glass finally gave way, and they tumbled inside, rolling across polished concrete. The mechanical level was a maze of boilers and air handlers, pipes, and electrical conduits. Sam pulled Mona to her feet, noting how she immediately took off running despite the glass shards scattered across the floor and her bare feet. "This way," she said, surprising him. "I memorized the building schematics when I bought the penthouse." "Paranoid, remember?" She led them through the mechanical maze with surprising confidence, pointing out security cameras that she'd already disabled remotely from the panic room. They found a service elevator, and Mona produced a keycard from her pocket. "You just carry that around? After tonight, I'm going to carry a lot more than this." The elevator descended in silence for several floors, before suddenly jerking to a stop at the 20th floor. The doors opened to reveal 3 men in tactical gear, weapons raised. Sam reacted instantly, shoving Mona back while firing 2 quick shots. The lead man went down, his vest absorbing the rounds but the impact knocking him backward. Sam grabbed the man's rifle as he fell, spraying suppressing fire as he and Mona retreated into the elevator shaft's maintenance ladder. They climbed down in darkness, Sam leading, ready to catch Mona if she slipped. Above them, shouts and footsteps echoed in the shaft. 10 more floors, Mona gasped, her hands bleeding from the metal rungs. "You're doing great," Sam encouraged. "Just keep." The ladder mount exploded above them, someone firing down the shaft. The entire structure shuddered, and Mona's grip failed. She fell, and Sam caught her with one arm, nearly dislocating his shoulder as he held both their weight with the other. "I've got you," he grunted, pulling her against him. "Hold on to me." She wrapped her arms around his neck, her breath ragged with fear and exertion. Sam continued down one-handed, his old injury screaming with every movement. They reached the 10th floor access and tumbled through onto carpet. They were in an accounting firm's offices, dark and deserted. Sam's phone suddenly buzzed with signal restored. A video message from Tamara. The image showed Lily sleeping peacefully in what looked like a police station, an officer standing guard nearby. "She's safe, Sam. I'm not a complete monster. I never intended to hurt your daughter. But you and Miss Carter, you're worth $8 billion dead. Nothing personal. Just business. Like your father always taught you, Mona. Everything has a price." "My father never taught me that," Mona said quietly. "He taught me that some things are beyond price. Family, honor, truth." She looked at Sam. "Love." They heard footsteps in the hallway. Multiple sets. Moving, tactically. "The garage," Sam said. "We need wheels." They slipped out through another exit, descending the final floors via a different stairwell. The garage was a concrete cavern, eerily quiet. Too quiet. "It's a trap," Mona whispered. "I know. But we need to spring it." They moved between vehicles, Sam leading with the stolen rifle. He spotted what he wanted. An older model SUV that wouldn't have GPS tracking. When I start shooting, you get in and start it, he instructed, handing Mona his keys with a small multi-tool attached. This will work on the ignition. What about you? I'll buy us time. Before Mona could protest, Tamara's voice echoed through the garage. Hello, Sam. Mona. She stood 20 feet away, flanked by 2 men with assault rifles. Tamara looked exactly as she always had. Professional and cold in her designer tactical suit. Like she was conducting a business meeting rather than an execution. You know what the funny thing is? Tamara continued conversationally. Your father suspected Mona. Before he died, he asked me if I'd take care of you, and I promised I would. I am taking care of you. Your company will survive, just under new management. Your legacy will live on. My father would be disgusted by you, Mona replied, stepping out from behind Sam before he could stop her. He believed in building things, not tearing them down for profit. Your father was naive. He could have been worth triple what he left you if he'd been willing to compromise. Just like you could have lived if you'd just sold when the Russians made their offer last year. I'd rather die standing than live kneeling. Tamara laughed. How poetic. How utterly your father's daughter. He said something similar right before the cancer took him. Or was it before I increased his morphine dose? It's hard to remember. The words hit Mona like a physical blow. Sam saw her stagger, saw the revelation crack across her face. You killed him? Accelerated the inevitable. He was going to expose some of my side dealings. Couldn't have that. Tamara raised her weapon. Don't worry. This will be much quicker. Sam saw it happen in slow motion. His nightmare from Afghanistan, overlapping with the present. The moment before pulling the trigger. The choice between action and hesitation. In Kandahar, he'd hesitated for one crucial second, unsure if the movement in the window was a combatant or a child. That hesitation had cost lives. Not tonight. He fired before Tamara finished raising her weapon, 3 rounds center mass. Her vest absorbed them, but the impact sent her backward. The garage erupted in gunfire. Sam dove left, drawing fire while screaming. Now! Mona! He heard the SUV engine roar to life. One of Tamara's men turned toward the sound, and Sam dropped him with a knee shot. The other was already firing at the vehicle. Sam could hear bullets punching through metal, glass shattering. Then the SUV slammed into the gunman at 40 miles per hour, sending him flying. Sam ran, yanking open the passenger door, and diving in as Mona floored it toward the exit ramp. She killed my father, Mona said. Her voice eerily calm as she navigated the ramp at dangerous speed. She murdered him. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be ready. She yanked the wheel hard right, tires screaming as they burst onto the street. Because I'm going to destroy her. Behind them, motorcycles roared to life. 3 of them, weaving through traffic in pursuit. Your CEO silent alarm, Sam said, checking the rifle's magazine. How long until response? Should be here by now. Mona checked the mirrors, then suddenly yanked the wheel left, taking them down a narrow alley. Unless Tamara compromised that too. The motorcycles followed, gaining ground. Sam leaned out the window, firing controlled bursts, forcing them to weave and slow. One rider got too close, and Sam put a round through his front tire. The bike flipped, taking out a second rider in the process. The third rider pulled alongside, raising a pistol. Mona jerked the wheel, slamming the SUV's side into the bike, sending it careening into a parked car. They burst out onto Park Avenue, and suddenly police cars were everywhere, lights and sirens creating a symphony of chaos. The FBI response had finally arrived. There, Mona pointed to a police barricade ahead. We're safe. As they approached the barricade, Sam's phone rang. Mrs. Chen's number. Mr. Walker? It was a police officer. Your daughter is asking for you. She's safe, at the 23rd precinct. Tell her I'm coming, Sam said, his voice thick with emotion. Tell her Daddy's coming home. The next hours blurred together. FBI debriefs. Statements. Mona's lawyers appearing like an army, in expensive suits. Tamara had been apprehended trying to flee the city, the FBI's cyber unit already unraveling her network of buyers and conspirators. Sam finally arrived at the precinct at 3 in the morning. Lily was asleep in a detective's office, curled up in a chair with her elephant and a police jacket draped over her like a blanket. She stirred when he entered, her eyes fluttering open. "Daddy? Hey, baby girl." He knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. "Mrs. Chen said bad people came, but the police got them. Were you fighting bad guys again?" "Yeah, sweetheart. But it's over now. Did you win?" He thought about Mona, somewhere in this building giving her statement. Brilliant and brave Mona who'd trusted him with her life. "Yeah, we won." "We?" "I had help. A friend." Lily pulled back to look at him, her expression serious. "A lady friend?" Despite everything, Sam laughed. "How did you know? You're smiling. You never smile after fighting bad guys." Mona appeared in the doorway, looking exhausted but composed. She'd somehow procured shoes and cleaned the blood from her hands. "Am I interrupting?" Lily studied her with the intense scrutiny only children could manage. "You're pretty. Are you the friend who helped my daddy?" "I am." Mona crouched down to Lily's level. "And you must be the famous Lily. Your dad told me you make the best pancakes in Brooklyn. They're terrible," Lily whispered conspiratorially, "but Daddy eats them anyway. That's because he loves you more than perfect pancakes. Do you like pancakes?" "I've never actually made them. Never had anyone to make them for." Lily considered this tragic information. "You can make them with us. Daddy won't mind." "Right, Daddy." Sam met Mona's eyes over his daughter's head. In them, he saw possibilities he hadn't dared imagine. A future beyond survival. A family reformed from loss. Love born from chaos. "I definitely won't mind." 3 weeks later, Sam stood in his small kitchen, watching two of the most important females in his life work together. Lily, tongue poking out in concentration, carefully poured batter onto the griddle while Mona held the bowl steady. They'd been at it for an hour. The counter a disaster of spilled flour and eggshells. But the laughter filling the space made the mess worthwhile. "The secret," Mona was saying, "is to wait for the bubbles before flipping." "Mom never told me about bubbles," Lily said, then froze, glancing at Sam with worry. "It's okay to talk about Mom," Sam assured her. "She'd be happy we're making pancakes." "Even terrible ones?" Lily asked. "Especially terrible ones," Mona said. "The best memories are usually messy." The pancake flip was, predictably, a disaster. Batter splattered the backsplash, and the pancake folded in on itself. But this time, Lily just laughed, and the sound filled the kitchen like sunlight. Later, after pancakes had been consumed and Lily had run off to play, Sam and Mona sat on his fire escape, sharing coffee and watching the city wake up. "Tamara's going to prison," Mona said quietly. 25. To life. The FBI found evidence she'd been selling secrets for years. My father wasn't her first victim. "How are you doing with that?" "Some days are harder than others. But having a reason to wake up helps." She looked through the window at Lily, who was carefully arranging her drawings on the coffee table. "Having people to care about helps more." "She's already planning your birthday party," Sam said. "Fair warning. It will involve unicorns." "I love unicorns," Mona said seriously. "Also, I've been thinking, this commute from the penthouse is killing me. And that place has too many memories. Too much glass. So, move somewhere else. I was thinking somewhere in Brooklyn, close to a good school. Walking distance to an auto shop, maybe." Sam raised an eyebrow. "That's very specific. I'm a very specific person." She took his hand. "Sam, I know it's fast. I know we met under insane circumstances, but when I'm with you and Lily, I feel like I'm home for the first time since my father died. Maybe for the first time ever." "Mona, I'm not asking for promises. I'm not asking for forever. I'm just asking for a chance. To see if what started that night was just adrenaline or something more." Sam thought about the past 3 weeks. Mona showing up with dinner when he worked late. Teaching Lily coding basics with infinite patience. The way she fit into their lives like she'd always belonged there. "I think we already know the answer to that," he said. 6 months later, the penthouse had been sold to a tech mogul who promised to install bulletproof glass. Sam's auto shop was up and running, with a corner office where Lily did homework and Mona worked on her laptop, running her empire remotely while keeping an eye on inventory. Her company had pivoted to medical technology and humanitarian applications. The defense contracts had been fulfilled, but not renewed. The technology that had nearly gotten her killed was now saving lives in hospitals around the world. They'd bought a brownstone in Park Slope, with a backyard for the garden Lily wanted to plant, and enough bedrooms for the family they were planning. The wedding had been small, just family and close friends. Lily had been the flower girl, so proud in her dress, throwing petals with military precision that had made Sam laugh and cry simultaneously. Now, Sam stood in their kitchen. He still loved thinking that watching Mona teach Lily how to make pancakes properly. No more burnt disasters, though they sometimes made them wrong on purpose, for the memories. "Dad, look," Lily called. Perfect flip, and it was. Golden brown, circular. Landing exactly where it should. Lily beamed with pride, and Mona caught Sam's eye, her hand moving unconsciously to her still flat stomach where their second child grew. "Perfect," Sam agreed, moving to embrace both of them. Outside, Brooklyn was waking up, the city humming with millions of lives and stories. But inside their home, a former soldier, a former ice queen, and a little girl who believed in possibilities had built something stronger than glass, more valuable than billions, more powerful than any weapon. They'd built a family. They'd built a future. They'd built a love that could survive anything, even a rain of bullets in a penthouse made of glass. And every morning, over pancakes that were finally, wonderfully perfect, they rebuilt it again.